Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has arrived in Poland. Zelensky's Polish counterpart welcomed him to Warsaw. He's also expected to meet Ukrainians who've taken refuge in the country. Poland is a NATO member and key ally of Ukraine. The UN Human Rights Council has voted in favor of a probe into possible war crimes since Russia invaded Ukraine. 28 countries have voted in favor of extending the mandate of the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Ukraine by 1 year. According to the committee, the use of torture and attacks against Ukraine's energy infrastructure could constitute crimes against humanity. It also found that thousands of children have been unlawfully deported from Ukraine. Russia denies this accusation. Russian investigators have formally charged a 26-year-old woman with terrorism offenses. Daria Trepova was arrested after a pro-war Russian blogger was killed in a bomb blast in a cafe in St. Petersburg. Investigators say that Trepova acted under instructions from people working on behalf of Ukraine. The US will provide Ukraine with an additional $2.6 billion military aid package. This includes $500 million in ammunition and equipment from US military stockpiles. The money will be used to purchase anti-aircraft ammunition, tankers and other equipment. This comes as Russia continues to launch a barrage of long-range missiles in Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived in China. This is Macron's first state visit to China in over 3 years. He will meet his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping along with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Macron aims to highlight that Europe will not accept China providing arms to Russia. He also hopes to discuss trade and the economy. US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is set to meet Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen in California. The highly symbolic meeting is expected despite China's threats. Tsai visited the Central American nations of Guatemala and Belize days after former ally Honduras established ties with China. China warned McCarthy that he is, quote-unquote, playing with fire by arranging a meeting with Tsai.
I invite
Former US President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. This is related to the case of hush money payments made to an adult film star ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Trump surrendered and was placed under arrest on Tuesday before he was arraigned. This makes Trump the first former US president to face criminal charges. A clash broke out between the Israeli police and Palestinians inside the AlAqsa Mosque in Jerusalem's Old City. Israeli police say they were responding to a riot. Officials claim that masked agitators locked themselves inside the mosque with fireworks. The Palestinian Prime Minister has condemned the action by the Israeli police. The mosque compound has witnessed frequent clashes between the two sides. The South American nation of Peru has rejected a motion to launch impeachment hearings against President Dina Boluarte. Opposition lawmakers called for impeachment proceedings after the death of protesters. In December last year, former President Pedro Castillo was ousted and jailed. This sparked a wave of violent demonstrations. Protesters demanded Boluarte's resignation. Over 50 protesters lost their lives. Opposition lawmakers have blamed Boluarte for the deaths. The King of Bhutan is on a 3-day visit to India. He met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday. The two leaders held talks on several bilateral issues of national interest. The King was welcomed by India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Monday. The King visited Rajghat in New Delhi and also signed the Visitors Book. The West African nation of Senegal held its Independence Day parade. Thousands of Senegalese took to the streets to mark the day. This was the first military parade to be held in the city of Dakar in 4 years. This comes just a week after violent clashes broke out in the country amid political tensions. Senegal gained independence from France in the year 1960. More than 400 migrants have been rescued in international waters off Malta. This comes after a complex 11-hour-long operation. The vessel had set off from eastern Libya on the 1st of April. People spent 4 days at sea, the last 2 without food and water. Migrants were from Syria, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Egypt, Somalia, and Sri Lanka. They were due to be taken to Italy. The UN has expressed concerns after female Afghan employees were banned from working by Taliban authorities in eastern Afghanistan. Female staff members are being prevented from reporting to work in Nangarhar province. The Taliban has been removing women from schools, universities, and workplaces. The Taliban took over Afghanistan in August 2021. New Zealand's former Prime Minister Jacinda Ardens delivered her final speech in Parliament. She said, and I quote, "There are so many things I feel proud of." Ardens retired from politics earlier this year. Chris Hipkins was appointed New Zealand's new Prime Minister. Ardens will now serve as a special envoy for the Christchurch call. The Tokyo Electric Power Company has released new images of Japan's Fukushima nuclear power plant. The images reveal heavy damage to the foundation and significant debris. It also showed damaged concrete walls exposing steel rods. The new video comes as local residents have repeatedly voiced worries about the safety of the structure. At least 7 people have died in an avalanche in India's northeastern state of Sikkim. The army said that 5 to 6 vehicles carrying up to 30 tourists to Nathula Pass between Sikkim and Tibet were feared to have been stuck. At least 20 people have been rescued. The U.S. state of Illinois is witnessing severe storms. It caused extensive damage to homes, cars, and power lines. The National Weather Service has predicted possible hail and a chance of a tornado in parts of Illinois. Northern regions of Peru are witnessing storms and floods. Streets are submerged and thousands of houses have collapsed. The flooding is aggravated due to the lack of drainage and canals. More than 65,000 people have been affected. Just last month, Cyclone Yaku unleashed torrential rains on Peru's northern region. This prompted the government to declare a state of emergency in 400 districts. Over 200 houses and many streets have been flooded in a town in eastern Ukraine. This comes after a dam was partially destroyed due to heavy snowfall. Municipal workers are putting up concrete barriers and cleaning out water channels to minimize the flooding. Serbia's capital, Belgrade, is witnessing the return of winter in April. The region is experiencing unusually heavy snow and strong winds. Serbia's mountain roads are blocked by 40-centimeter deep snow. Several regions are left without electricity. According to media reports, Meta is reconsidering its remote work policy after mass layoffs. It's looking at different options to mitigate expenses and cut costs. CEO Mark Zuckerberg said that the company would not eliminate all remote work. However, Zuckerberg has suggested options were on the table if conditions don't improve. Hundreds of Google employees staged a walkout at the company's London offices yesterday following a dispute over layoffs. A union for Google's UK employees, called the Trade Union United, has said that the company has ignored concerns put forward by employees. Last month, workers at the company's New York office staged protests over the announced layoffs. In January, Google's parent company Alphabet announced it was laying off 12,000 employees worldwide. Around 5,000 white-collar workers at General Motors have taken the company's buyout offer. According to GM, the move will help them avoid layoffs. The company claims that the offers will save about $1 billion per year in costs. This is about half the $2 billion it wants to cut annually by the end of this year. According to JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, the US banking turmoil continues and will have a lasting effect. Dimon said that the current crisis is not yet over, and even when it is behind us, there will be repercussions from it for years to come. He added that any new regulations in response to the latest turmoil should be thoughtful. These include clearer rules for dealing with failed banks. UBS seeks to reassure shareholders that its unexpected takeover of rival Credit Suisse can work. This is at a general AGM today. Credit Suisse's takeover is the biggest bank rescue since the last global financial crash. The move angered not only shareholders but many in Switzerland. The bank's annual general meeting comes a day after executives at Credit Suisse faced their own shareholders. Samsung Electronics' first quarter profit is expected to plunge 92%. It will be Samsung's lowest profit for any quarter in 14 years. This is linked to a global glut in computer chips. Buyers like data centers and computer makers are slowing down purchases amid a global economic downturn. Samsung's chip division has been hit the hardest. It reported quarterly losses of more than $2.3 trillion. China has urged the World Trade Organization to scrutinize US-led technology export restrictions. These restrictions are aimed at curbing China's ability to make advanced computer chips. Meanwhile, the US has said its actions relate to national security and should not be subject to review by the WTO. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has said that he doesn't believe that pausing the development of artificial intelligence would solve challenges that it presents. This is the first time Gates has spoken on the topic publicly since an open letter drove further debate about AI. Last month, Elon Musk and more than 1,000 AI experts demanded an urgent pause in the development of new AI. Meme coin Doge has added as much as $4 billion to its market value. Dogecoin's value is boosting after its Shiba Inu dog replaced Twitter's Blue Bird as the social media company's logo on Monday. It is now the seventh biggest cryptocurrency with a market capitalization of $13.7 billion. In October last year, Dogecoin more than doubled after Musk sealed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter. A new generation of electric vehicle batteries should begin reaching customers by the middle of this decade. These new-gen batteries could hold more energy, achieve longer driving ranges, and charge quicker. They're powered by new silicon-based electrodes that are slated to go into production next year. Mercedes-Benz is scheduled to be the first automotive customer in 2025. It will start with its EQG electric SUV. In sports now, Rajasthan Royals will clash against Punjab Kings in the 8th match of the IPL 2023 in Guwahati later this evening. Rajasthan started their campaign with a dominating 72-run win over Sunrisers Hyderabad. Meanwhile, Punjab Kings also started their IPL campaign with a crucial win over Kolkata Knight Riders. New Zealand bowled out Sri Lanka for 141 earlier this morning. With the win, the All Blacks have levelled the T20 International Series at 1-1. Fast bowler Adam Milne was the man of the match as he took 5 wickets from just 26 runs. Milne has now become only the third New Zealander to claim a 5-wicket haul in a T20 international. The US have booked their place in the final qualifying tournament for this year's 50-over ODI World Cup in India. The US side, led by Indian-born Monank Patel, posted 231 all-out and then bowled out Jersey for 206 to confirm the top spot. The final qualifier will be held in Zimbabwe in June-July. The US have never qualified for the ODI World Cup before. UEFA has announced that Switzerland will host the 2025 Women's European Championship. Switzerland last hosted a major football tournament in 2008. It staged that year's edition of the Men's Euros along with neighbours Austria. The previous edition of the Women's Euros was held in England in 2022. The Three Lions won the title after beating Germany at the final at the Wembley. Barcelona's coach Xavi Hernandez has said that Real Madrid are still favourites to win the Copa del Rey semi-finals. Xavi's comments come despite Madrid being 1 goal down and having to play the El Clasico at Barcelona's Camp Nou later tonight. Barca have got the better of Real in all 3 games this year. They defeated Madrid 3-1 in the Spanish Super Cup, 1-0 in the Copa del Rey first leg and 2-1 in La Liga. Captain Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice as Saudi side Al Nassr put 5 past Al Adala yesterday. The club is now only a point behind leaders Al Ittihad at the top of the Saudi Pro League standings. The scintillating performance brings Ronaldo's goal tally in Saudi Arabia to 11 goals in 9 matches. Lionel Messi is increasingly likely to leave Paris Saint-Germain when his contract runs out this summer. His representatives have been in talks about a contract renewal with PSG, and everything was looking positive during the World Cup in Qatar. However, reports now say the dynamic has changed and his departure from Paris this summer would suit all parties. The International Tennis Federation has announced it will resume playing tournaments in China this year. However, the international tennis body has not announced a resolution to the case of Chinese doubles player Peng Shuai. Peng disappeared from public view shortly after accusing a former high-ranking Communist Party official of sexual assault. Lewis Hamilton's maiden F1 title in 2008 could be challenged in court by Felipe Massa, who finished that season as runner-up. Massa famously lost out to the final lap of the final race in Brazil, when Hamilton moved into 5th to clinch the title by 1 point. Massa is now seeking his legal options following remarks from former F1 Supremo Bernie Ecclestone. Formula One teams are set to enjoy the breathing space provided by a long April break in a record 23-race season. The Shanghai race has been axed for the 4th year in a row due to strict local measures to curb the spread of COVID-19. It was originally scheduled to take place on April 16th. The next race will be in Azerbaijan's Baku on April 30th. Media mogul Rupert Murdoch has called off his engagement. 92-year-old Murdoch got engaged to 66-year-old Anne Leslie Smith late last month. He has reportedly cited a difference of views as the reason for the breakup. The two were planning a summer wedding. Former US President Barack Obama's daughter, Malia Obama, is ready to make her directorial debut. Malia will soon direct a short film. Producer Donald Glover's company, Gilga, will produce the film. Malia earlier worked with Glover as a writer in the television series Swarm. The Little Mermaid film has secured a China release. The film will release in China on the 26th of May. The date is the same as the film's North American launch. The Little Mermaid stars Halle Berry and Javier Bardem. A new trailer for the Barbie film has been released. The trailer shows actor Margot Robbie as Barbie. Meanwhile, actor Ryan Gosling plays the role of Ken. Singer Dua Lipa and actor Emma Mackey also feature in the film. It will be released on the 21st of July. Heavy metal band Metallica have unveiled the title of their new studio album. The song takes its name from the album titled 72 Seasons. This is the band's 12th studio album and it features 12 songs. The album will be released on the 14th of April. Korean pop band Blackpink will soon have their own mobile game. Blackpink the Game features puzzle sets and management simulation. The game includes access to the band's exclusive images, videos, soundtrack and music video. The game is set to release in the second quarter of this year. Pre-sales for the feature film The Offing have been announced. The film has got a multi-territory deal in the UK, Ireland and Australia. The Offing is based on English author Benjamin Myers' novel of the same name. Helena Bonham Carter stars in the film adaptation. The dates for the 13th Beijing International Film Festival are out. The festival will resume in-person activities after 3 years of the pandemic. It will take place from the 22nd to the 29th of April. The festival has set Beauty in Variety, Harmony in Diversity as this year's theme. The Shanghai International Film Festival has released its schedule for its 25th edition. The festival will take place from the 9th to the 18th of June. Crown Plaza Hotel in West Shanghai will be the home for the festival. Organizers say they've received 8,800 film entries from over 128 countries. Singapore has launched an international film and television fund worth $7.5 million. Global producers that make content with a spotlight on Singapore can tap into the fund. The fund has been released jointly by two government bodies. International studios and streamers will be invited to apply for the fund.
The US and Russia are dangerously close to an armed conflict. This year, 2023, New Delhi will be the capital of global diplomacy. For a country as diverse as ours, with 88% of the population illiterate, it was a very big deal to write a constitution, and that too, the world's largest. Meanwhile, if we may, here's a Republic Day gift from India for the BBC. A list of suggestions for the BBC for their upcoming documentaries. Number 1, the Kohinoor and the colonial loot. Number 2, an outdated monarchy and unhealthy obsession with the royals. Number 3, racism in 2023. We're waiting.